राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jayantai Gaur Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we'll continue our discussion from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1. This is text number 26. Chapter is entitled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. Tatra pasyatsitan partha pitrunatha pitamahan acharyan matulan bhratrun putran pautran sakhim statha shvashuran suhurdaschaiva senayor bhayorapi. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Translation. There Arjun could see within the midst of the armies of both parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. Purport. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjun could see all kinds of relatives. He could see persons like Bhurishrava, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfathers Bhishma and Somadatta, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Shalya and Shakuni, brothers like Duryodhan, sons like Lakshman, friends like Ashwathama, well-wishers like Kritavarma, etc. He could see also the armies which contained many of his friends. So in this way, we are discussing the various soldiers that Arjuna is seeing. And so Acharyan, Matulan, Bhratrun, Putran, Pautran, Sakhim, Satha. So here he is observing when he requested Krishna to bring the chariot between the two armies. He saw people from various generations. The oldest generation was who? Bhishma, grandfather. Arjuna himself was a grandfather at that time. And his grandfather was still alive, Bhishma. Bhishma and his contemporary was Somadatta. It's almost the same age. And then fathers like Bhurishrava and teachers like Dronacharya, Kripacharya. So people of his father's age, they were also present in the battlefield. And then warriors of his age, the Pandavas, the Kauravas, they were like his brothers. Then there were friends like Ashwathama. When they were studying in Gurukul during their student days, Ashwathama and others were his good friends. Later on, due to circumstances, they joined the other party. But otherwise, Ashwathama was a good friend of Arjuna. But now he has to fight on the opposite side. So they are all like his age people. And then there were sons, next generation. Sons like Abhimanyu, the sons of the Pandavas, the sons of the Kauravas. Almost everyone had their own sons who were participating in the battle. And then grandsons, Pautra. Grandsons like, the names are not mentioned. Even Duryodhan was a grandfather at that time, his grandson. And Abhimanyu's, people like Abhimanyu, they're his sons. So 5 generations of people at the same place. Usually when there is a family get-together, nowadays we hardly get to see family get-together. Family hardly has any members nowadays, right? Mother and father are working. Children are in tuitions or in some other coaching classes. So they hardly get time to come together and spend time with each other. If there is time to have one meal a day, all family members, 3 of them or 4 of them, that is a celebration. So, but in earlier ages, there was joint family, several brothers and sisters staying together, and then their children, uncles and aunts, and kaka, kaki, mama, mami, and then grandfathers and grandmothers. Imagine under one roof. So usually when there is a family get-together, it is on some special occasion. Maybe birthdays or wedding days, anniversary days. And when everyone is situated in different parts of the world, then once in a year they may come together and they may celebrate, recall old memories. And it's a good time, usually. But in today's time, we hardly get to see all these things. Joint families have broken down to nuclear families. And even the nuclear family is breaking down nowadays. The atom is breaking down into electrons, protons, neutrons. Right? Everyone is their own individual lifestyle. So it's a very, family get-together is a very rare occasion. But in this case, the family is coming together not for celebration. They are coming for mutual destruction, which is unusual. Planned mutual destruction. The date is fixed when everyone has to assemble. Who will fight on which side, that is fixed. It's all very organized way of destroying each other. So therefore, Arjuna is getting overwhelmed. In the next few verses, we will see how Arjuna, upon seeing all these close friends and relatives, he is going to suffer an emotional breakdown. So who are these people mentioned here? Fathers contemporaries like Bhishma and Somadatta. Bhishma we all know. Bhishma is a great grandfather of the whole dynasty, Shantanu's son, and he has a long blessing that he can die only according to his desire. His father had blessed him. So, and he was the most powerful warrior. So he was there. There is a mention of Somadatta. Somadatta happens to be the father of Bhurishrava. There is a mention or description of a battle between Bhurishrava and Satyaki. Satyaki was from Dwarka. He was a very dear student of Arjuna. And one day during the Mahabharata war, there was a battle between Satyaki and Bhurishrava. So Bhurishrava's father, his name was Somadatta. And Satyaki's father, his name was Sini. So they had an enmity between the fathers. Some issue had happened between the two. And in one occasion, Satyaki's father Sini had insulted Bhurishrava's father Somadatta. At that time, Somadatta had taken a vow that my son will similarly insult your son. He had got some blessing from someone. And similar fate, similar way your son will be treated by my son. And that happened on this occasion in the Mahabharata war. So this is day 13 or day 14 of the war, and the battle is happening between Satyaki and Bhurishrava. So actually that day was when Arjuna had taken a vow to kill Jayadratha, because Jayadratha had been instrumental in the killing of Abhimanyu the day before. Chakravyuha and all those happened. So Arjuna had taken a vow to kill Jayadratha. And that day, this battle happened between Bhurishrava and Satyaki. And the battle continued for a long time, and finally Satyaki got exhausted in that fight. And he almost collapsed. So Bhurishrava got up. He was also exhausted. But somehow he got up and he saw Satyaki was there lying almost unconscious. So he took out his sword and ran towards Satyaki and was about to cut off his head with his sword. So Krishna saw Arjuna. Krishna and Arjuna was not very far. So Krishna was, hey, look, your student Satyaki is about to die. And he was assisting you throughout the day. He had come all the way from the distance to help you. So do something immediately. So Arjuna saw Satyaki's life is in danger, so he immediately shot an arrow. And Bhurishrava's arm was like this. So the arrow cut off his arm, still holding the sword. And Bhurishrava was surprised. How can this happen? Because usually you don't attack anyone without challenging the person. So if I want to fight with someone, I first challenge and then start fighting. So in this case, Arjuna attacked Bhurishrava without challenging him, which is against the rules of the war. So Bhurishrava was surprised and shocked and couldn't believe, how can this happen? And then he looked in the direction of the arrow and he saw Arjuna sitting along with Krishna on the chariot. He said, Arjuna, how could you do this? You are known as a good warrior, following all the rules. How can I expect this from you? And then he started criticizing Krishna, saying, oh, you are sitting with Krishna. Maybe that's the reason you got influenced by him. Krishna is known for cheating, according to him. So, no wonder you did this act. So when Arjun heard this, he couldn't tolerate that. Someone blaspheming Krishna. So he came to the defense. He said, you mind your words first. You were going to attack Satyaki, who was also not, who was weaponless. Right? Where were you following the rule? So the rule is you cannot attack someone who is without a weapon, someone who is not prepared, someone who is not challenged. So you yourself are breaking the rule. And if I am breaking the rule to protect someone who has come to assist me, what's my fault? So in this way, Arjun defended his action. And Bhurishrava didn't say anything. He understood that he was wrong. And he immediately dropped all his weapons. He sat in a meditative pose, meditating on Lord Vishnu, and he gave up his body. So in this way, Bhurishrava is described. So Bhurishrava is present. Arjuna is seeing this person, who is like his father's age. No, not father. Yeah, father's age. Then there is Dronacharya, the teacher. And Kripacharya is also the teacher. So Dronacharya is the teacher of all warfare, all kinds of weapons. For that he is the teacher. Kripacharya is also a great warrior. He is also a kind of commander. Kripacharya is like the family guru for the Pandavas and Kauravas. Then there are uncles like Shalya and Shakuni. Shakuni we all know. Shakuni is the uncle, Gandhari's brother. He was the main person who was instrumental in the gambling match. Right? He had that trick of cheating. He had that trick of how to get the right number upon throwing the dice. So he was cheating basically. And in this way he cheated the Pandavas of all their wealth, all their property, position, and sent them to forest. So Shakuni was present. Shakuni's mention comes in towards the end of the war. He was killed by Sahadev, Arjun's brother, younger brother. Then there is mention of Shalya. Shalya was the brother of Madri. Who was Madri? Madri was Nakul Sahadev's mother. Nakul Sahadev's mother. So kind of Arjuna's uncle, stepmother's brother. Jai Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki. So Shalya was also present in the battlefield. So actually Shalya wanted to fight on the side of the Pandavas. But for some reason he was tricked by Duryodhana. When he was coming to join the battle, Duryodhana had arranged nice accommodation, food and other facilities on the way. And Shalya thought, maybe Yudhishthira has arranged all this for us. For all the soldiers, for all the horses and animals. And Shalya enjoyed the facilities, took all the facilities, food and shelter, accommodation. And when he was very happy and satisfied, Duryodhana came in front of him. Saying, welcome to Hastinapur, welcome to Kurukshetra. So Shalya said, thank you very much. What can I do for you for arranging all this? And what did Duryodhana say? You fight for our side. You fight on our side. So that's unusual because Shalya is the uncle of the Pandavas. So uncle will naturally fight for their nephews. But Duryodhana asked him to fight on their side. So because he had promised, whatever you want, I will give. So Shalya joined the side of the Kauravas. Later in the Mahabharata, towards the end of the war, 17th or 18th day, 17th day, second last day, after Karna was killed, Shalya was made the commander-in-chief of the entire army. And Shalya was killed by Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir killed Shalya. Then there is mention of brothers like Duryodhan, 100 brothers, all of them were present. So when Duryodhan had insulted the Pandavas during the gambling match, he had, of course, many people tried to advise him that don't do all this, return the property of the Pandavas and settle, make peace with them, settle down nicely, divide the kingdom between the two brothers and enjoy life. Why do you want to unnecessarily have enmity with them? But he didn't listen. So many people used to come and advise them. Narad Muni came, Vyasdev came, then many people would come, many kings, many rishis, many sages, so that the war can be avoided and people can live happily. So one such sage who came was a sage known as Maitreya, very powerful sage. So he came, hoping that he can somehow advise Duryodhana and convince him that this war should not happen. So Maitreya started advising, he started glorifying the Pandavas, saying, these are all Devatas in disguise, they are the descendants of the Devatas, and they are on a mission, Lord Vishnu's mission, Krishna's mission, Paritranaya Sadhunam. That mission is there, so better don't unnecessarily get into trouble with them. Settle down, peace. Even if you fight with them, you will be destroyed. So therefore, don't get into all this mess. So in this way, he was trying to advise. And then he also said, if you don't listen to my advice, then the whole dynasty will be destroyed. And then you will suffer in hell. In this way, he started threatening. So Duryodhana was listening to all this. And he got bored. When you get bored, what do you do? You look here and you look there, and then you do something, scratch here and there, like any. So Duryodhana was totally disrespecting this sage and like kind of scratching his head. So Maitreya got really angry. Now this guy has no regard to what I am presenting. So he said, because you disrespect me and you don't listen to my words, I curse you. So Duryodhana was kind of slapping his thigh in arrogance. So Maitreya said, this thigh will be the cause of your death. Bhima will hit your thigh and kill you. So usually when there is a fight, Gada fight between two warriors, the Gada cannot be hit below the waist. It's above the waist. That is the rule of the game. But then thigh is below the waist. So how can someone hit the thigh unless you break the rule? But the curse was, Bhima will hit your thigh. So when the war happened, last day of the war, between Bhima and Duryodhana, that time both were fighting nicely, Bhima and Duryodhana. And both were equally strong, powerful, skillful. So, but Bhima knew he was not intentionally hitting below the waist, because that is against the rule. But then Duryodhana had this blessing from Gandhari that his whole body will be shielded by that blessing. So whenever Bhima would hit him, it was not having any effect. It was almost like an iron body, steel body. So he would hit very hard, but then it had no impact on Duryodhana. So then they were wondering, Bhima was wondering, how long this will continue? So then Krishna indicated to Arjuna and Bhima that thigh, remember the thigh. And it's not against destiny, because Maitreya has already cursed. The curse is already there, and the curse is going to have its effect. So if you want to win the game, win the match, then you have to hit below the thigh. But still, Bhima was avoiding. He wanted to play a fair game. Unnecessarily, why break the rule? But then finally he realized that this is not going to happen. These people have violated the rule so many times, so we can't win the game with them using fair rules. That's when Bhima hit. One moment Duryodhan jumped into the air, and then Bhima with his club hit him on the thigh. And with that hit, Duryodhan collapsed on the ground. And within a few hours, he died. So in this way, Duryodhan was the main cause of the war. Just because of his stubbornness, his hatred towards the Pandavas, his envy towards the Pandavas, they couldn't stay together. Everyone else agreed almost, but then Duryodhan and few others, they had that revengeful feelings towards the Pandavas. Duryodhan, it is said that he was the agent of Kali Yuga. So every age has an agent. So Dwapar Yuga, this Mahabharata war happened towards the end of Dwapar Yuga. And the new age starts. So transition happens from Dwapar Yuga to Kali Yuga. Some powerful person comes, agent comes for the new age, which kickstarts the new age. The transition usually is a little violent. So Duryodhana is said to be the agent of Kali personified. And in this way, so although people were advising him, he just couldn't accept the advice. And then Mahabharata war happened, Krishna disappeared, and Kali Yuga began. So in this way, Kali Yuga, the symptoms of Kali Yuga we already know. People won't have trust and faith with each other. People's pride and alpayusha sabhya kala vasmin yuge jana. Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hyupadruta. People of the age of Kali will have alpayusha, short duration of life. Mandaha, manda means dull-brained. Dull-brained not for regular studies. So we may say, Are, you are saying dull-brained, but there are so many intelligent people, they score good marks, they have brilliant careers. Dull-brained means dull for understanding spiritual principles, scriptural principles, basic morality, basic ethics, and some spiritual fundamental principles. These things people will be dull to appreciate all this. They may be expert in technology, they may be expert in many other subjects. But to understand some fundamental life principles, that intelligence will be weak. So manda, sumanda matayo, manda bhagya hyupadruta. Unfortunate overall, even if someone is interested in spiritual life, practicing spiritual life, and somehow they take out time, something or else, some other thing will keep coming and then they disturb them. When you invite anyone for a satsang program, say, please come, evening time, we'll arrange everything. So many people say, yes, we will come. But something or the other comes, they just keeps getting delayed. And then they are unable to take up serious spiritual practices on a regular basis. Either office issues, professional issues, family issues, health issues, economic conditions of society. So in this way, people find it hard to take up spiritual life. That's the symptom of this age. So in this way, Kali Yuga began. Duryodhana was the agent who played a main role in starting Kali Yuga. Manda sumanda mataya manda bhagya hyupadu. And then there is a mention of Kritavarma. Who is Kritavarma? Kritavarma was a warrior from Dwarka who had joined Kaurava side. And he was also kind of friend of Arjun. But then, because he had to fight on that side, they fought. Kritavarma was one of the few warriors who did not die at the end of the battle. All other warriors were killed. Kritavarma, Ashwathama and Kripacharya. These three main warriors of Kaurava side remained alive even after the war. So in this way, we find the description of various warriors. So Arjuna has requested Krishna to take the chariot in between the two armies, wanting to see what is there. Who are the people assembled here? So he had come to the war to fight and win the kingdom. After seeing, his condition changed, his determination changed. He got into emotional breakdown. He said, no, I don't want to fight with these people. And his decision was, I won't fight. After seeing. And then he heard the message of the Gita. And then he decided, I will fight. This is an important lesson. So when we see with our eyes, pratyaksha, aksha means eyes. Pratyaksha, when we analyze situations based on our sight, we may not come to the right conclusion. Because our eyes are imperfect, our methods of analysis are imperfect. And we usually end up drawing wrong conclusions. Pratyaksha Praman. But when we hear from authoritative sources, saying, no, this is not right, this is how it is, this is not how it is. That is called Shabda, Shabda Praman. When we hear from either directly from Vedic literatures or some authoritative, some authority, and hear the situation, and then we get to the right conclusion. Just like I give this example. If you have some illness, or if you have some illness, we may diagnose our own problem to some extent. Maybe this, I have pain in the belly and maybe I ate something wrong, some other thing, some other issue. We may try to diagnose our problem and take some medicine, but it may not get cured. Right? Then we go to a doctor. So Pratyaksha, I don't understand. Based on my own analysis, I can never come to the right conclusion. But when I go to a doctor, the doctor will observe, maybe take some blood tests and other things. And then when they see the report, then they come to the right conclusion. Right? So when a person with knowledge suggests something, advises something, that is like Shabda Praman, authoritative advice. Whereas our own personal experience may not be always accurate. Or like another example, if our car breaks down, right? You go to a mechanic and for repair, and then we open the bonnet. We don't understand anything what the problem is. But the mechanic will open and then he will touch somewhere here and there, and then he will say, no, this is the problem. Now the machine is there right in front of us. The engine is there, right? But we cannot see the problem. A technician who is knowledgeable, he can understand the problem. And then he may hit somewhere here and there, and then the machine starts working. So similarly, when it comes to life problems, our own judgment, our own analysis is unreliable. That doesn't mean we don't do analysis. That's not the point. We do analysis, but that cannot be taken as a reliable analysis. Therefore, we need to consult the Gita, consult scriptures, consult authorities on scriptures, and check with them. Is this okay? Is this right? Is this not right? What is the mistake? Then when we take a decision, then there is a chance that it is accurate. So therefore, Arjuna's decision based on his observation, the chapter is entitled Observation of the Armies. His observation became faulty. And then he had to hear the Gita, starting from chapter 2 till the end of the 18th chapter. And then when he made a decision, that decision was right. So he heard Krishna's direct words, Shabda, which is non-different from Vedic conclusions. And then he became perfect. So there are there's biases. We always have bias, wrong judgments. There are 7 types of biases. One is called framing bias. इसका मतलब क्या है? Framing bias means the tendency to accept information or opinion that are presented in a language and style of our understanding. So someone is giving a speech and in a language that I can understand. Then we feel, हाँ ये सही बोल रहा है. The same information is given in a different language. Then we think, नहीं नहीं गड़बड़ है. That is a bias. It's called framing bias. There's another bias called anchoring bias. मतलब the tendency to be overly influenced by the first piece of information we hear. Whoever gives some information first, that we take as truth. Any other later information, we feel, nahi, nahi, gadbad hai. That is also a bias. Then there is consensus bias, which is what? The tendency to accept the opinions and understanding of people that are immediately around us. So if I am around with people who have certain opinion, and their opinion will influence me. If some other people, some other place, they have an opinion which I have not heard, then I feel that is wrong. So that is a bias, consensus bias. Then attentional bias. What is this? The tendency for recurring thoughts, our own thoughts. If we keep thinking of a certain opinion constantly, again and again, we start thinking this is the right opinion. If some other thoughts are influencing constantly, then we start thinking that is the opinion, that is the right opinion. So again, nothing may be right, may be accurate. And then there is another last one, self-serving bias, which means the tendency to believe those things which serve our selfish desires, our desires, needs, and misconceptions. So I have certain motives, I have certain desires, and any opinion that helps my desire, I think that is right. Any other opinion that is going against my desire, that is a wrong opinion. So we all are influenced by this. And there are all these media channels are manipulating us based on our biases. They will keep bombarding us with all kinds of information, which may not be true. But because they know there are people who want this opinion, this information, and then they will keep broadcasting this information constantly, either on newspapers and television and internet, social media. So that if everyone is talking about this thing, then we start thinking, अरे सब लोग यही बोल रहे हैं, तो ऐसा सही होना ही चाहिए, right? There is a theory of Aryan invasion theory. Heard of this? Aryan invasion theory. The theory that Aryans came from Europe, invaded India, and they settled in India, and therefore India became the land known as the land of the Aryans. It is based on a theory that there is similarity in languages. European languages have similarity with India's Sanskrit language. How did the similarity arise? Because Aryans came from West Europe and settled in India, and Sanskrit was born from their language. This is a theory which has no basis, but it has been propagated. Propagated in school textbooks everywhere. And then we believe Aryans originally belonged to Europe. Even Hitler believed this, right? Hitler believed that Germany is the root of the Aryan, home of the Aryans. And even in Europe, the Aryans spread from Germany to all over Europe. So Germany deserves to be the ruler of the entire Europe and the world. And then for the Second World War happened. With that idea in mind, that we are the original breed of the Aryans. So all kinds of misconceptions are there. Even Darwin's theory of evolution, right? Man evolved from apes and animals, and then finally humans were born. This is a conspiracy. There's no basis, there's no actual basis. But then we study in the textbooks, and we think that is right. We think our ancestors were monkeys and apes and chimpanzees, right? That's the theory we have been brought up with. Our ancestors are monkeys. One time Prabhupada was told, one archaeologist came to meet Prabhupada. And Prabhupada asked him, so what do you do? So he said, I am an archaeologist. Something he said. We study primitive people. We study how man evolved from monkeys. We study primitive people. Then he asked Prabhupada, so what do you do? Prabhupada said, we study advanced people. Who are those? We study Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Narad Muni. What is the use studying primitive people? You study primitive people, your intelligence will become primitive. You study advanced people, you learn from them. That's what our scriptures are talking about. How the creation happened. Lord Brahma was born through Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Then Brahma created the entire universe. He created all the species of life. He created the Prajapatis and the Devatas and their descendant, the Daksha Prajapati and so many Prajapatis. And how they created species and populated the entire universe. And then the next generation was born, next generation. In this way, the whole universe started getting inhabited. And that's how creation at different levels happen. The Srimad Bhagavatam is describing creation of the first order, second order, third order, fourth order. So in this way, the Manus are there, the Devatas are there, and then there are cycles of 4 yugas, and how after every yuga, every Manvantars, again creation happens. There is a king of the demigods, and then his assistants, and then the Asuras, and the fight between the Asuras and Devatas. It's all part of universal creation. This theory is never taught to us. But what are we taught? Man evolved from monkeys. Right? इतना अच्छा theory है हमारे श्रीमद् भागवतम में. That is not taught. Man evolved from monkeys is a very attractive theory for these people, which has no basis. And then there is also the theory, man went to the moon. Many people are challenging whether really man went to the moon. Conspiracy theory. The 9/11 attack, that is also a conspiracy, some say. It's all conspiracy done. So many theories are taught to us. And there is a big question mark whether they are really true. Right? So we should start asking, which is the truth? What is real truth? Which is reliable? Who is a reliable authority? 50 years down the line, 100 years down the line, someone will expose saying, "Arey, humans evolved from higher beings." Or someone may say, "Man never went to the moon." Right? Then we may say, "Arey, I wasted my life believing this theory." Right? So therefore, we need to decide which authority should be accepted as reliable. People who are following a set of principles in the principle-centered people, when they are presenting a theory, is that a reliable theory? Or a theory presented by people who don't care for any principles in following in their life? Which is more reliable? Right? So therefore, scriptures are written by people who have shown character, who have shown values in their life, who have guided humanity for centuries together. If their words are taken seriously, then there is merit in that. So in this way, Arjuna who was confused in the beginning, but when he heard from Krishna the message of the Gita, he got enlightened. And then he decided, all his confusion was gone, and then he decided that I will fight. So next verse onwards, we'll see his emotional breakdown. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any thoughts, any comments anyone wants to ask, share? Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki